What is up guys, before we get into the video, my business Drop the Anchor has just released our summer range and it is an absolute banger. We've got our rose tanks going on, we've got our pocket tees going on, we've got our basic embroidered tees, as well as, of course, you cannot forget our reversible bucket hats. These things are freaking sick. Party on the outside and chill on the inside for when you just feel like you want to, be a little bit more subtle. Available in our pineapple and our floral, and then we have our gangster retro hats available in yellow and pink. These are made of like swim short material, super dope. We've also got some shorts and socks dropping very soon, as well as our full range of tees, sweatpants, crew necks. If you guys want to support the channel, jump online, droptheanchorclothing.com.au, use the code MikeLakeGang, grab yourself 10% off. As always, thank you guys for supporting. Let's get into the video. What is up guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are finally back working on the Budget Evo, aka the Fevo. This thing's been off the channel for a while we've been building the Prado, but it is one of my favorite builds that we have done on the channel so far. If you are new to the channel, this is a Lancer. Started out looking like this, and now it looks like this. So we've slowly built it up to be pretty much a bit of a replica Evo, with all the kits, suspension, wheels, and of course, the turbo motor. This thing has been sitting out in the rain for a while, and as you can see, unfortunately, because we have a vented bonnet and we don't have the plate on it, which I need to make, we get water on our manifold and it goes rusty, which is really sad, but the car itself is running absolutely amazing. Now you guys will be stoked to know that we have finally booked a track day in for this thing. I cannot wait. It's going to literally be my first ever proper grip racing track day. It's next weekend at Haunted Hills, which I'm just so excited about. But this car is not quite up to the task at the moment of hitting the track. So there's a couple of things that we need to fix up, make better, and also we're going to give it a birthday and a full service just to make sure that this thing is pristine for when we're absolutely giving it the beans on the track. So first thing we need to work on is the oil return, which I'll show you guys when we're up on the hoist. But there's a bit of a kink in it, so that blows a bit of smoke out the rear at the moment, which is no good. Only sometimes and only on idle, which means the turbo seals, and that's because the oil is building up in the return line because of the kink, and then it pushes it out of the back of the turbo through the exhaust, and that's where the smoke comes from. And then the other thing we're going to change is our fuel pressure regulator. Now there's no real issue with this, but I just wanted to tidy up this setup a little bit. So I just got a bit of a smaller fuel pressure reg, same one that we are running in the Datsun, but they're just a bit more of a small, tidy unit, and I don't really want to take any risks when it comes to fuel, especially when we're on the track and absolutely hammering on this thing. So a couple of small things to do today, but I'm just so freaking excited to take this to the track and see how it does for the first time. Of course, I'll be taking you guys along with me, and I think Tara's coming with me too, which is going to be pretty cool. But we have Quana here today. Hey Quana.
What's going on?
How you doing? Kind of roped you in to help me out again?
Yeah, sure.
Yes! Always good to have the boys around helping me out and telling me all the things that I'm doing wrong. But let's get this thing up on the hoist and have a look and see what's going on underneath it. Look at this thing, so freaking cool. Let's go. All right, we're up on the hoist. Look at how good does that look? Pink FD on the hoist, Fevo on the hoist. What a time to be alive, eh? So, running up to the front, we're gonna drop the oil, and then the return line, which is right here, is what we're gonna deal with. So it's just not the best. There's a couple of kinks and stuff in it, and just the way that it's run. There's not enough like gravity drop in it. There's spaces for the oil to build up, like here for example, which is no good. So you want to get that oil draining nicely into the sump. So we're going to pull that off, suss that out, swap the oil, new oil filter, and just double check everything, and then we'll get a head up top and put the new fuel pressure regulator in. This sandwich plate, which a lot of you guys are asking me about for how we did the oil send for our turbo, this sandwich plate is just the eBay sandwich plate. I can't remember the thread pitch of our oil filter, but basically what you do is you just search eBay and make sure that the sandwich plate, they come with a couple of different adapters, has the right one for the thread pitch for the oil filter. If it does, it's going to work for you, and you can go ahead and use it for your turbo send, which is pretty sweet. Cool, so let's drain this oil, pull this oil filter, see how we're all looking, and sort out this freaking oil drain. Let's go. Nice. My thing, oh, ow, it's a bloody, that hurt. My oil catcher is full, so we just put the bucket in the oil catcher, cheat code. But oil looks alright, I think. It is actually quite fresh because Tara was driving this, and there was a mishap with the oil drain, and it came off and the car lost all its oil. But luckily these engines seem to be super resilient because no rod knock or anything, and she is good to go. So shout out the 4g93. warm oil. Good, real good. I realized I forgot how like I did this back when we did this build, because we're literally constantly doing so many cars all the time. But I did a pretty crappy job of the oil return, I realized. So this is the barb that came off it, but it's an alloy one, and it was kind of like threaded into the sump, but it had a little bit of a downward angle on it here, which just automatically gives the oil a place to pull up. So it definitely wasn't the best setup. So we're actually going to switch it up, and we've got a 90 that we've got here with a fitting that we're going to weld on to the sump. So effectively it's going to go like this, but we'll make sure when we weld it on it's nice and even has a bit of a drop in it. So like that, as opposed to being upwards like that with the oil can pull, and that way it's always going to be a nice vertical drop into the sump. And then that way we just have a line going straight off here, and then it's a 90 into our fitting, which goes over our intercooler pipe up on the turbo. It's kind of hard to see, but right here, so it just goes 90 off here and straight down into the sump. So we're going to do a bit of pull the sump off now, which is a bit of a job, and then we're going to go ahead do a little bit of welding. I wanted to TIG it, but unfortunately Woz isn't here at the moment, and I do not trust myself with the TIG welder yet because he hasn't shown me how to use it, and I'll probably just fuck it up. So instead we're going to be doing the old MIG welder, which is fine. It is what it is, but yeah, let's get to work. We're going to pull the sump off. Let's go. We've got the UFC on at the moment while we're working on the cars. Living the dream, son. On a beautiful Sunday. It's nice. Absolutely love this. Nice. Cleaned our sump with fire, which was heaps of fun because I'm kind of a pyromaniac behind the scenes. And then I wire wheeled everywhere where we need to weld, inside and out, because we're actually probably going to weld this from the inside. We've got our fitting that's going to go on in here. We're going to basically weld it from the inside, and then our 90 will thread into that, which is nice. So yeah, we're going to do all the welding from the inside, take our time because we don't want the sump to warp along this line, otherwise it's not going to seal to the block, which will be really annoying. And then of course I'm going to make sure that I weld it on slight upward angle as well, because we've got the ability to do that. Let's go ahead, get welding, give it a coat of black paint, and we can clean it out and then go ahead and chuck it back onto the car. Doing things right with Mike. So our sump is all done, our fitting is on. Look at that, she's much better than it was before, that's for sure. So fingers crossed that it's all sealed up, and that looks good. Gave it a bit of a spray just so it all looks nice. So we're going to go ahead and throw the sump back on and then put our new oil return on, and hopefully it all comes together super nicely. Team, we are all done under here. I actually put a new V-band. Oh, the light turned off. I put a new V-band on as well because the old one was a bit rank. Hopefully you guys can see what's the amount of light that we have under here. There we go, thank you sir. So we have our new oil return and it looks fantastic, and it just goes like perfectly downwards all the time. The angle's awesome, super good. Thanks, you're part of my crew now, my lighting guy.
No problems, bro.
Yeah, watch out for the, g'day, chunga. Yeah, so that's all done. New oil filter's on. I remembered to put the bolt back in the sump, which I'm really stoked about because I've forgotten before and oil ends up all over the ground. All your brand new oil. Whap, whap. That's old oil, that's fine. So now we're gonna let the car down. new oil goes in, and then fuel pressure regulator goes on. And I think we'll just check over everything, make sure she's nice. And then later this week, I'll go down and grab a wheel alignment from Elite Brake and Mechanical, because we did one, but I just think it needs another one before we go to the track to make sure everything's all good. Apparently, we should run like 35 PSI on these tires, around that. If you've got any suggestions, jump on into the comments, you know what to do. But we're complete rookies when it comes to setting up a car for a grip day. Drift day, we know a little bit, but gripping, we know nothing. So it's gonna be really interesting. But let's get the car down and have a look from the top. Alright, the car's on the ground and we're now going to swap out this fuel rig. I'm just not a fan of the setup. It's a little manky looking. And just the way I did it last time, I'm not super happy with it. So instead, we're going to a nice compact fuel rig. Just really nice and small. I'll put the gauge on the front as well. Can't read that gauge where it is at the moment properly. And I'm also just going to redo the T-piece and stuff just to tidy things up a bit. And also while we're at it, we're going to put some black paint on our rusty manifold because it's really irking me. And I will eventually make a plate that goes here so that it just catches the rain and doesn't allow it to drop onto our turbo stuff. And just tidying up a couple of things in general in the engine bay, but especially this fuel rig because it's always been irking me, so let's get it done. So much fuel everywhere. Alright, so we have our old unit out, which is this one here. We have our nice new unit here. So I've swapped the gauge over to the front, put the barb fittings in, all Teflon taped as well to make sure that there's not going to be any leaks. Then we have brand new fuel hose here. We're going back to the rubber hose for this stuff instead of the braided stuff, just to keep it simple. New T-piece, new silicone hose, and always new hose clamps as well, because we cannot take any risks, especially on the track when it comes to fuel, because we're going to be putting this thing under some pretty big stress. So So the job is complete, and all I can say is thank God for spray paint, because without it all of my cars would look like shit. But here is what the setup looks like now. Oof, she's back to looking tidy again. Who knows how long the paint will last. Apparently it's good for 1,000 degrees, and hopefully the manifold doesn't get that hot. Regardless, it looks fantastic. I've become quite skilled with a spray can. A couple of rags, didn't even mask it off, sprayed it up, and she looks great. Our fuel pressure rig setup is beautiful, nice and tucked away, and it just looks so much better now. You can see the gauge, everything's tidy. I'm not nervous about fuel leaks, and that in itself is fantastic. You don't want to be nervous about fuel leaks while you're going very fast around a track and trying to concentrate on just picking the right line and the right gears. And that's pretty much it when it comes to preparing this thing for the track. I'll try and get into Elite Brake and Mechanical for an alignment this week if I can, but the car is already aligned. I just wanted to double check it. But as it sits, she's good to go. New oil filter. The gearbox already had brand new oil in anyway, but because we swapped the clutch very recently, so as it sits, I'm really happy with everything going on here, and I'm confident, hopefully, that this car is going to make it through a track day unscathed. Now, I've been told that there's not many entrants entered into this track day, which means we get maximum track time. And we're also heading there with Zach Baldy in his 8.6, it's actually a BRZ, but I love to call it an 8.6 because it annoys him, and Cam Martin in his RB25 Turbo S14. And obviously there's going to be a little bit of competition going on between us three, and probably a couple other people that are at the track. So I'm very keen to see who can throw down the quickest time. Cam's probably going to make something like 350 kilowatts on the dyno this week, because that's a forged RB25 with a big turbo on it. We made 155 kilowatts. Zach Baldy makes whatever a stock 8.6 or BRZ makes. But in saying that, the 8.6 is a much better car. The Fivo, we have no idea what kind of car this is when it comes to being on the track, because we've never tracked it. And the S14, I have a feeling he's going to have a lot of trouble getting the power to the ground, so he's going to be feathering throttle quite a bit. It's a very technical track, I've been told, It's called Haunted Hills. Don't know if I mentioned that in the video before. It looks to me like it's a lot of second gear with some third gear. So it's not like we have a high speed straight to go on, but I think that's where the Fevo's really gonna shine. So fingers crossed that we can come out on top. And that is all she wrote for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, getting the Fevo ready for the track. Thank you guys so much for watching. As I said at the start of the video, drop the anchor. We just dropped our new summer range. It's already popping off. People are loving it. Jump on to droptheanchorclothing.com.au. Use the code MikeLakeGang and get yourself 10% off everything. Support the channel and grab yourself some rad gear. The stuff is awesome, super high quality. We really pride ourselves on that. Until next time, guys, when you see this thing on the track, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you guys so much. Cheers. You. Peace. Bye.